Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being the music journalism site, links are in the description down below. And we have a brand new song review for you today, and it's the latest track by Stephen Wilson featuring Sophie Hunger, and that's Song of I. So I'm going to refer to the original article as I usually do for these videos, so I hope you enjoy. So it's almost blasphemic that I'm a big prog fan, the biggest of prog fans, yet I've never actually dived into Stephen Wilson's discography. Don't hate me. As you probably know by this point, the guy is a walking legend when it comes to the prog fan base out there, so yeah, it is blasphemy for me to have never really dived into his music. However, going into this upcoming album, he has stated very firmly that he wants to make something a little more pop orientated and just different to what he usually indulges in, which I'm fully behind. So shall we see what I thought of this brand new track? Well, I thought it was okay, and there are definitely some moments which I did find quite satisfying, but I did get the feeling that it just felt like a really stripped back mainstream version of what Nine Inch Nails perhaps would produce. And I don't mean that in, in a horrendous way, like I'm really bashing the artist and this track, more that it just takes influence from the group, and Stephen hence does it, justice in his own way. Some parts are certainly better than others though, and I did feel that the recurring hook and plastic beat did get a little bit tiresome, especially towards the end of this track, and it's not out and out pop at all. In fact, it's actually far from it. It's more like an ambient electronica track really, and with that it can be very diversive. However, I happen to be one of those who is sort of stuck in the middle, so I guess I'm just sitting on the fence here really. Production wise, the track has actually been mixed pretty darn well. A sweet texture was created by these ambient and electronic synths that are subdued, a little bit industrial and quite unique overall. The thick wall of sound hence created this stereo field full of this gloomy and unnerving presence, especially in the mid and high ground. The vocals were mixed competently, but aren't particularly awe-inspiring. Instead, they sound very typical when put into picture alongside other vocal tracks from this sort of genre. The 808 based beat is wholesome and does create this very slow pulsating feeling, and my only issues with the percussion really lie around the sequences that they were actually programmed to rather than the actual mixing, which we'll obviously dive into the musicality section in a minute. All in all though, I think this is one of the better mixes we've had this fortnight. When it comes to the musicality of this track, the song does some things really well and others not so well in my opinion, more functionally. I thought the feature was dire, and unfortunately she could have been stripped away from this track altogether and I probably wouldn't have noticed. It's not that her performance was really poor, but rather the harmonies she was given to work with did nothing for me, and she didn't have a solo section at all. She just never really shone in this mix. I like the string instrumentation though. I thought that was difficult to say, much more difficult than I thought it would be, which randomly sort of would bolster the mix really well, just adding a little variation and decoration into parts that did seem a little bit dry, so it just added a bit of spice here and there. As for Stephen himself, well, he was fine, but again I think the melodies and harmonies he was working with here are a little bit dull, to be honest. The song has catchy moments and sequences here and there, but I did find that they were often repeated way too often, or needlessly fleshed out as well, and by then they just became a little bit droning really. Also, the percussion was very vapid and very ploddy, never really adding much at all to the transitions. In fact, I don't think there was a single fill or escalation into any transitions at all, so I think that's a bit of a shame. Lyrically, I am a touch disappointed because I have read Stephen Wilson's lyric sheets in the past, because they're usually posted all over prog forums, and they do read like pure poetry. This track, however, had a few generic lines and overall didn't really inspire me all too much. I didn't find it relatable, and I didn't find it that, harrowing or even that's satisfying in general. So all in all, I think if you separate the artist from this track, you suddenly see a sort of different perspective to it all. The song is fine for me, but I think the civil war between the fan base and the comments only signifies, its averageness even further, because people are squabbling to find the best parts about it, which is always a bit risky. So I gave it a G rating of 5.5 out of 10, which is slightly above average. So if you like this video, then please leave a like, comment what you think in the comment section down below. So I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.